Many of today's youth have jobs. Some even have their own credit cards. Yet many don't understand the basic principles of financial literacy: earning, spending, saving, and managing money. UW Cooperative Extension educators have been teaching financial literacy for years to Wisconsin youth using simulated learning techniques. Simulation makes it easy for youth to learn from real-life situations without real-life consequences. Simulations arouse curiosity and problem-solving abilities. Youth learn by doing, not just listening. Learning is active, and learning is fun. The reality events coordinated by Extension Family Living educators are diverse. No two are exactly the same. The programs are known by many names. Youth can be in middle school or high school. The learning events can be huge or small. But no matter the details of each individual program, the learning objective is always the same. Teach the youth the essentials of financial literacy today that will guide them the rest of their lives.
Every year we tweak it and make it just a little bit better and a little bit different. And so our Fond du Lac Ultimate Money Quest originally was patterned after what's being done in Washington County, but it doesn't look a lot like Washington County. We've given it the Fond du Lac flavor. Here in Fond du Lac, I started putting the word out to all the different banks and financials. The whole piece just of getting kids together and doing something that, one, has the passion of the community members, because it's in an area that they believe in. They want to invest in our youth here in Fond du Lac County.
That's why it's so important when you're working at that concession stand, not to just go, here you go. It's important for you to go ahead and count that back to that customer, because then you're going to find out if you made a mistake or not.
I feel very passionate about trying to educate our youth in the finances because I work in the financial industry. So it's very important for us to be able to get to those youth at a younger age, because we in turn see them as adults trying to get loans and working with opening new accounts and so on.
Working at a bank, I see a lot of people stumbling along, not knowing how to balance a checkbook and things like that, and I think the sooner we can get them, the better, get them trained ahead of time. So that's why I believe in it, and that's really why I want to be a part of it.
Probably one of the things that we have learned over the course of time in our first 4 years of doing this is that less is better. And that our first years we were trying to put an awful lot of information in a certain amount of time, and what we were finding is that we probably were feeling kind of frustrated because we had all this stuff and the kids can only absorb so much. And so one of the things that we have done now is that we offer 6 classes, and everybody takes those 6 classes. The 6 classes are 1/2 hour in length, 30 minutes, for middle school age, and keeping attention and keeping them active and keeping them in the here, in the now. We have found, because we were at 45 and it got a little too long.
How can I save for the big stuff without totally giving up having fun? I need a budget. Do you?
When they come, they receive a job, and they get to, they get to live that little job throughout the day. They receive fate and reward cards, which are part of that choice. Sometimes things happen to you, like you didn't get your library book back in time, and so guess you got a fee. Everything we teach throughout the day does, in one point in time, get used.
They really learn a lot of things that I don't think they even know they're learning, because it's fun to actually do it with your hands on it.
I see Money Quest as an opportunity for kids to develop some life skills, and that's one of the things we really talk a lot about in 4-H and the Youth Development Program is life skills.
There was a student that I had taken pictures of for a Money Quest, and then later on saw him at an activity, and he was working a concession stand and counted back my change, and so I've seen it in real life.
They're getting an opportunity to hands-on do something that they probably haven't done at school.
Nicole, all your hard work by saving your money, and if you have loans, by paying them on time and not being late, and those kind of good things. I'm going to take advantage of that if I'm an identity thief.
Well, the partnership is essential. Extension partners with the local businesses, local volunteers, local community, because they bring resources, they bring people, they bring ideas, they are teaching sessions. I just don't think the program could be nearly as successful without them.
I think the real benefit is the fact that we as financial institutions want to see those people that are educated enough to be able to come in and get those loans and open those new accounts starting at an early age. It's good to have you as the extension and the partner to be able to collaborate and put that all together for all of us, because sometimes we don't have the means to do all of that.
Even though we might be all from a different financial institution, that we all still want them to learn, and it's not a competition over which bank is better or whichever. It's really that we care about these kids and we care about our communities.
You know, identity theft, counting change, you know, all those things are real life skills, the stock market. So getting the kids prepared and making them money wise before they, you know, when you talk about if you'd save your money now and how much it would be worth, I think it just really is an eye opener.
Our school financial reality event is geared towards high school students, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and we focus in on that high school age because we felt it was important for kids or for students who are about to go out into the real world to get some of those real world experiences that they're going to be using if they haven't used them already. And we started our event here in Richland County, 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's become an annual event. So we did a little bit of research. We found there were a few counties across Wisconsin who were doing similar type reality events, and we mixed and matched, came up with a reality event that fit our needs and fit our community. We started smaller with 2 or 3 schools, and now we've added on schools. We've had 5 or 6 school districts participating.
And I just love to see the kids have an opportunity to learn, have the opportunity to realize how important it is to stand on their own 2 feet financially.
Oh, what happened? What happened? Well, let's see what you did.
We usually have between 120 and 130 volunteers that come out for the whole day for the event. So that takes a lot of recruiting, and that's the service that we provide here at the Extension Office. Volunteers or some business people from those different sectors of the community really adds that authenticity to an event. We have our police and our sheriff because things happen and people might get a ticket or might get pulled over.
9:30. Now, what you need to do is settle this within the next 10 or 15 minutes. This table right over here, okay?
Okay.
All right, now, are you a senior?
Junior.
Junior, okay. Well, enjoy the experience today. So it's kind of fun to watch the kids as they go through the building. They obviously know where I'm at, and they try to avoid me. And I think they learn, oh, geez, you can get a ticket for that? And it's, how much did you say? 147 for inattentive? And they realize that now they got to kind of figure that into their role that they're playing on that day, and how am I going to budget that? I didn't expect that.
Bad things can happen. No matter how well you try to plan things, they can happen, and they can happen more than once. And just when you think things are going really good, something bad can happen too. It was just reality TV in person, I guess.
How are you? Oh, pretty good. I'm not doing so well with my life, but
You're not?
no, I've gotten a couple of tickets and nurses' visits.
You're married. Rental insurance.
I am married, which is also a downfall.
The way our event is set up, and many events handle it a little differently, is that students do pick the career that they plan to be going into in a year or two, or the career that they'll plan to study when they go to school.
One of my students wanted to be a cosmetologist, and she went through the process, and by the time she was done, she was in tears. And so when she was done with that, she just decided, I'm not going to go to cosmetology because I'm not going to make enough money to support myself.
They don't know until they enter the event if they're married or single or widowed or divorced. They might have a small child or 2 small children, or they might not have any kids. Or they may have a spouse who has a high-paying job, or they may have a spouse who is unemployed. So it really throws a wrench into a little bit about what kids think they'll be doing with their salary and their lifestyle.
And I think it gives them a better understanding of realizing that I do have to budget for this. I can't just go out and spend all my money in one shot. I do have to sit back and say, boy, I do need to plan for this.
You know, maybe this child never really had to budget before, and so he went with the most expensive housing option. He said, oh, I'm going to be able to afford this, no problem. And, you know, maybe 30, 40 minutes later, he's coming back through all the booths, and, you know, by now he's returned his motorcycle and his vacation to the Caribbean, and he's saying, you know, I can't afford this house anymore, and I already had to get a second job.
Students spend about 2.5 hours or so just going through all the event.
I think the hands-on experience really makes the light bulb go on.
Having actually done something for a day is probably going to stick with them a lot better than just another worksheet that they did throughout the course of high school.
Extension 4-H has a motto, learn by doing, and I think that's very true too, that we see the students who, yeah, they know all this stuff in their head, but all of a sudden when the stress level goes up a little bit and they're stopped by the sheriff, or they have to pay a fine, or they're just told that they have to pay how much for childcare for their 2 kids they didn't even know they had a few minutes ago. You know, it gets their stress level up, and you really learn how to make decisions and how to problem solve under a little bit more of a stressful situation.
This is too important of a program because it has the basics that we need in order to function within society. It just brings it all home before they actually have to experience some of that. If we can at least get them to understand how important it is, I think it's just a very valuable program.
Every single year we hold this, I've heard so many times from students that now I realize all the expenses my parents have to pay. I've even heard a few students say, I'm never asking my parents for money again.
Because you really have to think about like what kinds of things you buy, like if it's name brand or not, and that just really like opens your eyes to see like what you can actually afford.
You got to be really careful about your budget. If you just keep spending it, you'll run out of money and you won't even know it hit you. So I think you got to wisely budget your money and only spend it on things you need, and then save the rest for emergencies.